A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, actors were paid a lot less than you think. The Force was strong, but the contracts were weak, with a few exceptions, of course. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on who got paid, who got played, and who got filthy rich when the credits rolled. Ready? Here we go. Jabba the Hutt might have been a puppet that weighed a literal ton, operated by a team of puppeteers, but the voice that made him unforgettable came from Larry Ward, a linguist and voice actor who didn't just growl and grunt, he actually created Huttese, the slimy, slug-like language of gangsters everywhere. His paycheck for the job was tiny, barely enough to fill Jabba's snack bowl, but his contribution was enormous. He gave the galaxy's biggest crime boss a real vocabulary that sounds like pure menace. The most adorable teddy bear in the galaxy, played by a 13-year-old Warwick Davis, a kid who literally stumbled into Star Wars history because Kenny Baker got food poisoning. That's right, his Ewok debut in Return of the Jedi happened by accident, and boom, a lifelong career was born. Star Wars didn't just make him famous, it made him Hollywood's favorite small-statured legend. From Ewok to Wizard to Leprechaun, he's turned every fantasy franchise into a paycheck. And while he didn't make big bucks from Endor, let's just say his later net worth shows that persistence and fursuits really do pay off. Sebastian Shaw got one of the most famous 3 minutes in movie history, playing the redeemed face of Darth Vader. Before that, he was a respected Shakespearean actor with decades of stage credits. Lucas called, Shaw said, "Why not?" And boom, he became the ghost every fan sees when they hear, "You were right about me." His Star Wars fee was modest, but immortality was part of the deal. Ironically, his scene was later replaced by Hayden Christensen's ghost, proof that in Hollywood, not even Force spirits get job security. Caroline Blakiston walked in, gave one speech, and left. Star Wars history forever changed. Many Bothans died, became the franchise's most solemn meme. Before that, she was a respected British TV actress. Poldark, Brass, the Avengers series, Star Wars gave her a cult following she never asked for. Her paycheck wasn't rebellion-worthy, but it bought her a lifetime of Comic-Con invitations. Later, when Rogue One reintroduced Mon Mothma, Blakiston's calm authority was still the blueprint. One scene, one speech, eternal fandom. That's ROI you can't measure in galactic credits. Sheila Fraser didn't get a lightsaber or a spaceship, just a moisture farm and a doomed nephew. Before A New Hope, she was a veteran of British theater and TV, often cast as the sensible woman holding chaos together. Star Wars didn't make her rich, but it made her unforgettable. Every time Luke stares at the twin suns, we remember Aunt Beru's quiet warmth before she became barbecue. It's tragic, it's iconic, and it's somehow still one of the most emotionally grounded moments in sci-fi. Not bad for a few days on a desert set. Phil Brown was blacklisted in the McCarthy era, moved to England, and somehow ended up raising the galaxy's chosen one. His Star Wars salary was small, but poetic justice was rich. Hollywood exiles rarely come back this memorably. He'd already built a solid career in British television, but A New Hope made him part of myth. Uncle Owen wasn't flashy, just the gruff farmer trying to keep a whiny teen alive, and Brown nailed it. Jeremy Bulloch had maybe 5 lines, and 2 of them were dubbed, yet somehow he became one of the most beloved characters in science fiction. That's the power of a cool helmet and colder delivery. Before Fett, Bulloch was a British TV regular, mostly playing charming side characters. Star Wars gave him a cult following that outlived entire franchises. His paycheck for the role wouldn't buy a blaster now, but he cashed in later with decades of fan convention fame. Let's be honest, Boba Fett's swagger wasn't written. Jeremy wore it. Literally, and it paid off forever. David Prowse was Darth Vader, physically anyway. The towering bodybuilder gave the Dark Lord his presence, his menace, and that iconic silhouette. What he didn't get? His own voice, or a fair slice of the Empire's fortune. Lucas swapped him out for James Earl Jones's vocals, and let's just say, Prowse didn't take that well. His pay wasn't villain-sized, but his legacy certainly is. Before Vader, he was the Green Cross Code Man, teaching British kids road safety. After Vader, he was banned from Lucasfilm events. That's Hollywood. One minute you're the chosen one, next minute exiled to the outer rim. Peter Mayhew didn't say a word in 3 movies and still managed to be one of the most loved characters in cinema history. The man behind the fur brought humanity to a walking carpet, and that's no small feat. Before Star Wars, he worked as a hospital orderly. After it, he was royalty at every convention on Earth. His original pay was humble, but the hugs, handshakes, and fan devotion, absolutely priceless. Mayhew's height gave him the role, but his warmth made Chewie real. Every growl, every head tilt, pure Wookiee soul. When James Earl Jones opened his mouth, Darth Vader was born. Lucas didn't even credit him at first, because the mystique mattered more than the man. But that baritone changed movie history. Jones's salary back then wasn't galaxy-shaking, but it's the sound that made an empire tremble. By the time fans learned who was behind the mask, Jones was already a legend. The Lion King, Coming to America, and a career built on gravitas and grace. He didn't need a lightsaber. His voice was the weapon. Admit it, you've tried the I am your father line too. Kenny Baker was the man in the droid, literally the beating heart of R2-D2. While everyone else swung sabers or gave speeches, he was sweating inside a metal trash can, making cinema magic. His salary wasn't high, but his importance, massive. That chirping little can carried the emotional arc of the entire saga. Baker also doubled as the Ewok Paplu. Yes, the one who steals the speeder bike. Tiny roles, giant legacy. He turned beeps into emotion before Pixar even existed. Every fan knows, without R2, Luke would have been toast twice, maybe 3 times. Ken Colley did what no other Imperial officer managed. He survived Darth Vader twice. That alone deserves a medal. Colley brought a nervous British dignity to Admiral Piet, the man constantly one breath away from being force-choked. Before Star Wars, he was a solid character actor in British TV and film, but this role made him a fan convention legend. His paycheck didn't reflect the stress of serving under Vader, but it bought him pop culture immortality. Piet wasn't flashy, but he was competent, and in the Empire, that's as rare as a TIE fighter with good aim. Peter Cushing was already horror royalty. Hammer Film's finest, the man who chased Dracula for a living, long before Star Wars. Then Lucas cast him as Grand Moff Tarkin, and he instantly became the embodiment of cold, bureaucratic evil. Cushing played the role in literal slippers because the costume boots hurt, and yet he still radiated authority. His Star Wars paycheck was decent for the time, but his true payday came later. Eternal respect from 2 fandoms, horror and sci-fi. Cushing's calm menace made Tarkin unforgettable. Even his CGI resurrection decades later couldn't tarnish that legacy. Dennis Lawson is the galaxy's most underrated hero. Wedge Antilles survived all 3 movies, blew up 2 Death Stars, and never complained once. Before Star Wars, he was a rising stage actor. After, he stayed that way, by choice. Lawson avoided the convention circuit, shunned fame, and quietly built a respected career in TV and film. His pay was modest, his fame accidental. But his nephew? That'd be Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan himself. Yep, the Force runs in the family. Wedge may not have the Force, but he's got survival skills every rebel pilot envies. Ian McDiarmid joined Star Wars with a cackle that could curdle milk. Cast at 39 to play an old space wizard corpse, he nailed the role so hard they brought him back 20 years younger for the prequels. His original fee was low, but the pop culture impact, galactic. McDiarmid became the face of pure cinematic evil, half Shakespearean tragedy, half pantomime villain. Before that, he was a theater heavyweight. After, he was the Senate. His voice, his grin, that lightning, you can't fake that level of fun. Evil never looked so delighted to be evil. Billy D. Williams made Star Wars cool. Smooth voice, perfect cape, and enough swagger to sell ice on Hoth. The role of Lando paid decently, but it wasn't the kind of money that buys you Cloud City. What it did buy was longevity. Before betraying Han Solo, he was already a film icon, one of the first black leading men in mainstream Hollywood. But Star Wars turned him into a pop culture brand. He leveraged that fame into endorsement deals, most famously Colt 45, and a steady stream of TV and film work for decades. Frank Oz didn't just play Yoda, he was Yoda. The puppeteer behind Miss Piggy and Fozzie Bear went full Zen master for Star Wars and redefined what a puppet could be. His fee was small compared to the magic he created. Yoda's wisdom came straight from Oz's hand, and maybe a little caffeine. Before that, he was Jim Henson's right-hand man. After, he was a directing powerhouse, helming Little Shop of Horrors and Bowfinger. Star Wars made him immortal without ever showing his face. That's Jedi-level fame right there. Do or do not. There is no try. Anthony Daniels was the only actor to appear in every Star Wars film, and somehow, he's still complaining about the suit. He was literally welded into C-3PO's golden shell for hours on Tatooine, surviving heat, sand, and Mark Hamill's optimism. His original pay wasn't stellar, but his consistency made him royalty. Before Star Wars, he was a struggling stage actor. After, he was the voice of protocol droids everywhere. Daniels' prim, anxious energy turned 3PO into comedy gold, the galaxy's most neurotic translator. Let's be honest, without him, Star Wars would have been 50% less British and 100% less polite. Now here's the real Hollywood miracle. The carpenter who built a door, then kicked it open into superstardom. He wasn't even supposed to get the role. He was helping read lines for auditions. Lucas liked them too much to let him go. Ford wasn't just part of Star Wars, he became the cool factor. Without him, the rebellion's just a bunch of robe-wearing idealists. His Star Wars paycheck was pocket change compared to what came next. Indiana Jones, Blade Runner, The Fugitive, and a career that turned him into Hollywood's grumpiest legend. He may act like he doesn't care, but his bank account definitely does. Carrie Fisher, princess, icon, and queen of Hollywood sarcasm, always ready with a devastating one-liner. Star Wars launched her into the stratosphere, but it wasn't all royal treatment. Her payback then wouldn't even buy a decent speeder, but she made up for it later, not just through acting, but with best-selling books and unapologetic wit. She became Star Wars' emotional anchor, on and off screen. Her net worth reflects a life lived loud, loved fiercely, and never afraid to roast her own fame. As she once said, "Take your broken heart, make it into art. Rest in peace, your worshipfulness, you're still royalty." Mark Hamill went from unknown theater kid to the face of an intergalactic religion overnight. Luke Skywalker was the hero's journey in its purest form, and Hamill sold every beat from farm boy to Jedi Knight. His Star Wars paycheck was relatively humble, but the fame, galactic. Hollywood didn't quite know what to do with him afterward, so Hamill reinvented himself as one of the greatest voice actors ever. His Joker in Batman the Animated Series? Legendary. Hamill's career proves you don't need to swing a real lightsaber to leave a mark. You just need range and patience for autograph lines. Sir Alec Guinness, the only person on set who thought Star Wars was fairy tale rubbish. Before Obi-Wan, he was an Oscar winner, a knight of the British stage, and the last person you'd expect in a space opera with laser swords. He took the job for a laugh, got a tiny salary, and cleverly negotiated a percentage of the profits, which turned out to be the best move since Han shot first. Star Wars made him richer than his entire Shakespearean career ever did. He hated being recognized as Obi-Wan, but cashed the checks anyway, proving that even the most serious thespian can find peace in the Force and the bank account. And finally, George Lucas, the guy who built an entire empire. Literally, his initial studio deal gave him creative control and merchandising rights, something the suits thought was worthless. Oops. That decision made him one of the richest men in Hollywood history. The original trilogy made him a mythic figure, part artist, part capitalist Jedi. Sure, he took flack for the prequels, but Lucas turned imagination into industry. ILM, Skywalker Sound, LucasArts, the man practically invented modern movie-making infrastructure. Love him or roast him, George Lucas is proof that nerds, given time, will rule the galaxy.
Wow, you're still here? That means you enjoyed the show. So how about another ride? The next one might just blow your mind.